I'm getting horny. I'm getting horny.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Jamsys, and today we're going to be playtesting the newest limited warrior unit, Lethe, which I thought was pronounced Lethe, but apparently not, but whatever. Lethe is a very interesting unit, I think. I think she has a lot of potential. It's just that for me, I think there's something a little bit missing for Lethe right now, because Lethe has a few problems in order to work. She does poorly into Clilias, which in hindsight is not that surprising considering a lot of Epic 7's roster struggles into Clilias, but you know, it is something to mention, which is why you'll notice my Clilias is actually geared, because I don't want to face Clilias with Lethe, because there is a match I will show you like later down the road, which will show you why I don't like Clilias into Lethe. But yeah, my opponent picks a few slow picks like Handguy, APOC, and Lethe in theory should be pretty decent against them. Well, not APOC, because you know, again, Lethe isn't the greatest into APOC because APOC is really tanky and she'll survive your like tentacle hentai attack, but she can threaten you because you know APOC is APOC and she applies injury. My opponent picks Sharun, which is a really not a pick you see often against me, but it's really good against Lethe too because Venom HP scaling really annoys her. I don't really love Lionheart against Lethe because if Lethe targets you with a tentacle attack, Lionheart just dies because it penetrates defense. So we'll see about that. But I end up picking Architect Leica here just so my opponent is forced to ban it, and then I pick Death Dealer Rate because my opponent has a bunch of health scalers. Not a bunch, but he has a really tanky team that I have the potential to just delete over and over again. Or like Venom and really cripple, not delete. I'm pretty much going to ban what my opponent picks last year. Yeah, Bryce area is really annoying. I don't want to deal with it. Get that shit out of here. And we're going to move on to the match. I'm pretty sure my opponent's just going to ban Architect Leica. And then we should have like a pretty decent match on our hands, I think. But it turns out my opponent's threatened by the Stenny and they ban it, which I think is quite interesting considering ML Leica is just going to rip a hole into his team. But you know, no complaints from me. We take these. We start off the match by just pushing back APOC, and we don't press S3 here because I don't want my Leica to get cut by the Mediator Cowrick when I do this, because it's not an extra turn, it's just 100% CR. And then we're gonna get rid of Handguy here just so we can't get our Venom cleansed anymore. Look at that, fair and balanced, 35k damage on a mid-speed unit for free with setup that they did themselves. We love that small gate, but yeah. Sharun goes for the S3 after. She fails to really strip anything, not strip, to reset anything though. Not that it really matters, but I just go for it just to get the speed buff and help Lethe cycle. And so the one comparison people make a lot about Lethe is that she's Hwayoung, but she's very different from Hwayoung because Lethe is actually balanced, and she takes a turn to actually set up and get going, and that actually introduces a lot of counterplay, which is really ironic to say. That unit makes that being more balanced makes Lethe less good, but you know, it is what it is. My opponent's trying to focus down Lethe here, but I don't think it matters too much. We're going to go and try to hentai this Lionheart down as soon as possible, just so we don't eat the Lionheart S3, and let's see the damage on that. Pretty good considering we got a lot of injury. And then now that it's only APOC plus Sharun left, we can basically slowly wear down his team. I will say Lethe is not a bad unit, it's just that she doesn't fit too well into like the Payra DJB comps or like the aggro comps. I think for her to work in her current state, she needs like a little bit more, I think. Like, I think she has a lot of potential, it's just right now I'm not too sure how she fits in because she's a little bit slow for a unit. And then my opponent does decide to GG here before I can kill him with Lethe. but I think she's a little bit slow of a unit, and then so her best matchup would be into slower teams. But then again, if you want to take it into slower teams, I think there's better options. Like you can always pick more aggressive options like us and strays. And if you're looking for a solo carry, I think Arya does the same thing where she like attritions down your team, but she's less selfish because, you know, she provides benefits for your team like stealth and stuff, and then she provides a lot of damage up front if she gets hit by 2 opponents. So I think she's like kind of missing something, and then I'll try to showcase that better in this match where I go for like the classic setup of opener plus DJB. I picked Lethe just because, you know, I wanted to, and we're trying to test her out. But yeah, I would say you should definitely pull Lethe and her artifacts just because they are limited. Some people that I've been talking to recently have told me that they don't pull a copy of every limited artifact, and I think that is a little bit of a mistake because if you want to get them and use them, you're gonna have to wait like a year. So it's better to just have them and sit on them rather than not having the option, because I think a lot of Epic 7 is about having options. Like, for example, I never picked up Sharun when she came because I thought she was a hot pile of garbage, and now I'm stuck with no Sharun after her buff. And that's like a normal RGB unit, but it's worth for limited because you can't randomly, not that I randomly pull a Sharun either, but still. Anyway, my opponent goes for Sharun. I guess Lethe's counter is Sharun, or it's agreed on by the community, but I don't know, dude. Again, they pick Lionheart just for the omen, but I don't think Lionheart does too well into Lethe because, again, she provides her like that damage ignore frostbite thing, and then she does like 18k piercing damage, which most Lionhearts will not be able to survive. But you know, no complaints here. We banned Spirit Eye Celine just because I don't want to deal with that shit. And we start off the match. I think I'm going to go for the deletion onto Sharun, just so Sharun doesn't, you know, cut and randomly put my units on cooldown. But then I forgot that that pushes up Ida, which is like kind of a choke. And we take off target here, which is kind of a mistake. I think in hindsight, maybe I should have just pressed S1 onto Ida and then hoped for the push-up here, but whatever. We go for the S3, and then the Sharun apparently is on 100% counter rate because she's been countering me this entire game.
Another one.
We go for the Leica S3 because we might as well. Sharun goes for another counter because of course she does. But Stenny does die to Leica S3 because Leica is fair and balanced. And now it's just Lethe left to clean it up. I think I do need to go for Lionheart just because, again, I do not want to eat a Lionheart S3. But apparently I wasn't too scared and I went for the A Taiwan instead. I just pressed buttons here because I don't actually want to press DJB S3. I want to wait for my opponent to put debuffs on me or potentially wait till A Taiwan takes a turn. So I actually have 2 turns immunity to not get hit by A Taiwan S3. But my opponent does go. He resets my Lethe, but it doesn't really matter because a lot of her kit revolves around her like Omen S1 tentacle thing. So she's actually pretty good into like Lua if you ignore the fact that she can be aggroed down and cleaved or controlled once she is stripped or whatever. But yeah, this Sharun just on 100% counter rate. We love to see it. I now realize that I need to go for the Lionheart kill because if I proc A Taiwan's Omen and go for the follow-up attack, Lionheart's going to wipe my team, and I don't really want that to happen. But this is what I mean. Like, Lethe's pretty slow, and I think for mediocre payoff, because if you remember, Hwayoung with attack buff, she did like 30k on her S3. But you will find that Lethe on 27k HP to 30k HP, she does like 18k to 20k, and that's over 2 turns. And that's just not the best. Like, I hate to say that, but yeah, like, especially with mitigation, you'll see that it only did 12k damage, so I don't think the damage is that great. So I think the payoff for Lethe is just a little bit lacking. My opponent does forfeit here because Lethe is about to dunk on his 8-high win and win the game, but I just think that she's missing a little bit of je ne sais pas, you know, where she just needs something in her kit to be a little bit more functional. The correct ban 9 out of 10 times would have been RB, because then his team would have had no DPS. But I wanted to see how Lethe would function into a team like this. And I was pretty confident because, like, it's solo DPS RB. Like, how hard could it possibly be to actually get it through? But if you notice, the Clilias is on Bastion. So my Lethe is just gonna get controlled down here. Like, it's very tragic. I thought the matchup would be a little bit better because if you remember Hwayoung, like, she struggled into hard CC comps too, but if she got 1 turn, she would cleanse herself and give her immunity. But Lethe doesn't actually have that luxury. So these hard CCs that my opponent's landing actually really hurt her a lot. And since she relies on the speed buff from her S1 to get her going, having unbuffable on for like the majority of the match really hurts her cycling too. And I try to provoke the Clilias with FCC, but some cheesers like running ER Clilias. It's so annoying. I can see why, because if you play her into like standard matches, it might help you, but if you play into aggressive players, bro, ER Clilias just gets you killed. Like, come on, what are we doing? But basically, this is one of Lethe's big weaknesses, where she can be controlled. I think in hindsight, I should have picked a second cleanser in the 5th slot, and we would have done better, yes, but I didn't know what his last pick was, so I was really uncomfortable picking a second cleanser like Hand Guy, but it doesn't matter. You're just gonna see Lethe get controlled non-stop, even though she only realistically needs 2 turns. And we can have this conversation about how Clilias is toxic for the game, but we already knew that. How AOL is toxic to the game, but we already knew that. I do think I misplayed a bit too. I think if I just pressed Peyra S3 and then went to kill RB with the soul burn and stuff, we might have been a little bit better off. But my steady was really squishy, so I didn't want to go and try to tank a Gab Vigor soul burn S3 from RB. And then this Sage Ball and whatever are on book 2, which I found really annoying. I go for the kill here onto a Sage Ball just so I can get, you know, 1 less source of CC going on, but again, this Clilias does way too much with the soul burn, and since AOL and Sage Ball were present with 2 books. Yeah. So I will, like, the rest of the match, basically, I'm gonna spoil it for you. She just gets controlled non-stop, and then eventually I don't stun RB 1 turn, and then RB obliterates me, so I'm gonna take out the time to talk about Lethe and what I actually think about her. But she is not a first type. She is not a first pick kind of unit. I think at best she is 4 or 5 to counter the enemy comp. I do think she has some potential down the road if she gets like an E or something, but in the current state, oh yeah, we brick the provoke here, which really hurts because I'm forced to fish for stuns, but I go for Clilias because I didn't want to eat another S3, but not having FCC Molad all the way on the S1 really hurt. But yeah, Lethe in her current state, kind of mid, has a lot of potential down the line with a EE, but currently I don't see too much benefit into running her because she's not really an aggressive option. She's not really an anchor. She kind of bullies slower players, yes, but I again think there are better units. But she's not unusable, which, you know, is a lot more than I can say for a lot of these limited units when they first come out. Like Summer Break Charlotte, it was kind of unusable. But yeah, that was quite the tragic match for Lethe, and we're gonna finish the game off, or like finish the video off with the last match of Lethe, where she kind of does a whole lot, allegedly. But yeah, I did try Lethe in the ladder and I lost like 100 points. So she is definitely not the type of unit you force, but she is hot and she is limited, so you might as well pick up a copy of her and an artifact. I think her artifact is really good because you can use it on like Shu and Alencia, and it gives a lot of stats. So there's that. My opponent first picked Scarewell, and that basically means that they're bending over. So I'm happy to see that. So I picked my Clilias, I picked my GJP. We've all been here before. Like, Airwolf first pick is so 2 seasons ago. And then, you know, me being an aggro / cleave at the time, I picked the same. Like 8 units. We've all been there. My opponent picks APOC. I'm assuming my opponent is going to pick Hand Guy here because, you know, these are kind of NPC drafts. I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, it is what it is. Oh, how did I know? How did I know? Just read my opponent super hard. So I decided to go for, I think, Lethe here, because Lethe is like pretty good. She can get stunned by SCROL, which is kind of annoying, but we take what we can get. We pick Architect Leica just because it forces my opponent to pick a little bit oddly, I think. He picks Zio here just so I can't press MO Leica buttons, and he picks Benimaru. I see a Landy angle, so I decide to go to ban Benimaru just because, you know, Lethe has a bonus turn, Clilias has a bonus turn, and Benny's the only unit here that can actually knock Landy out of stealth. My opponent does go first here with Zio because Clilias doesn't properly contest Zios that well. But I'm not too mad about it. ML Leica is honestly just here for the book, for Landy, and maybe for Lethe if the game goes on that long. We open up with Clilias, and, you know, we press our buttons and stuff. I wasn't too sure what to do. I was contemplating burning into Hand Guy, but then I decided to just push Hand Guy back so I can just press my buttons on Lethe. I decided to hold. Her soul burn the first turn so I can still have access to Vigor and be a little bit tankier. If you count the buffs on the board, it's 3 plus 2 that cannot go away, so we can double Landy soul burn as 3 here. We do 1,000,000 damage because my Landy is really high damage. APOC is able to go, but ML Leica wasn't doing too much this game anyway, so we're more than happy to trade her off to play to our win condition, which is Landy plus Lethe. Mostly Landy though. Hand Guy is now able to go. I'm not too sure what my opponent wants to do, but I guess it is S3. I guess he doesn't care that Landy's about to eat him alive. But I respect that. I respect someone who presses with confidence. And then I'm pretty sure they're going to go for the stun onto Lethe. I did try to build a Lethe with ER, but it's a little bit hard to meet the requirements because you want her to be like decently fast and high HP. And fitting on ER or effectiveness into that build is quite difficult. We pull Clilias this one, but with Landy, we kill Airwell. And we're able to just cycle continuously with Landy, and Landy's like blowing up his entire team over and over again. But you see how, like, even in slower matches where in theory she should be pretty good, she doesn't end up doing a whole lot. And her Omen thing not being applied by dual attacks, I think kind of like cuts down her viability a bit, because a lot of units can help her with Omen and help her stack it faster, like Clilias. My opponent does go for the S3 here with APOC. No matter who they brought back, I don't think it would have been too impactful, because if they did bring Zeal back, he wouldn't have his deity buff, and it wouldn't have been too bad. We go for the Landy S1, and then now we're able to just go for the Lethe S3 too. But yeah, I would say her ability to function as a anchor is pretty mediocre, especially since we did get her strip resisted. And so APOC is going to survive this without having frostbite, which means that Lethe does not get her heal. And I think that is one thing that makes Lethe a lot worse, is that her heal is tied to things dying. And thanks to the attack buff, Lethe takes a lot of damage there, which I was not expecting, but she should be able to live one more turn, hopefully, which she is. So, you know, she is not unusable as a tank, she just isn't my first pick, I guess I would say. But we're able to finish off the match with Lethe surviving on like 10 HP. And Landy does turret down team. So here we go. We get the final match of the video done. And here are my Lethe stats. They're not the best because I didn't want to strip units that were too important. She's just fast, so she can cycle better. With speed buff, she breaks around 300 speed, and we already know how fair and balanced 300 speed units are later into the game, where they just cycle over and over again. She has pretty high HP because she scales off HP. And I think if I were to optimize her gear, I would push her defense and HP a bit higher, and then maybe get more effectiveness or ER, because I do think effectiveness is not that bad if you can get like 100 or something, because that's the area where you'll strip low ER units like LRK and stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching the Lethe showcase, and as always, I'll catch y'all next time.
Bonus stage.
But wait, there's more. In celebration of summer and a popular request from my Discord, I'm going to try out, you know, the meme of putting your Clilias gear onto Lethe and seeing if you can go for an aggro type cleaves type of game. I don't hate the idea because Lethe does apply frostbite, which is a really good debuff if it wasn't only on Shepherd, Jenna, and Lethe. But yeah, I did fish for this in mock rooms, so there is that, because I wasn't gonna play 50 games on ladder with 310 Lethe. In the legend area, my opponent first picks Ran, which is kind of boring, so I decided to pick Summer Celine, and we do pick Lethe. They go for Zakok, which is at a counter pick into Celine, so like pretty good drafting here. But I'm hoping they don't draft too aggressively, but you know, they obviously do, because cleavers all pick the same shit. Like, bro. We're gonna pick Summer Break Charlotte because she could be a tanky Summer Break Charlotte. Well, she's not, but she could be. And then we're gonna pick SSB because, you know, we're in the theme of picking Summer Break units. I think in the SSB slot, I should have just picked Summer Luluka, because Summer Luluka would have been pretty decent against this team. But, you know, the more you know, the more you live and learn. I picked Seaside Iseria just to threaten, you know, like maybe my SSB is like 300 speed when she first came out. But my opponent's openers all kind of rely on non-attack skills. So I'm hoping that Celine gets banned because my opponent doesn't expect the really fast Lethe, because would you? I wouldn't. Celine does end up getting banned here. And now we're able to do the meme, you know? The meme of like, Bart, say it. Say the thing. Lethe is 310 speed. Hooray! But yeah, we do open up here with my Lethe, we're able to get the Omen and stuff, push up with Cease area, but I kind of forgot that my Cease area is not actually tuned to my Para speed. But it's fine. Summer Break Charlotte is able to push up here with the S1 dual attack, so it has like decent synergy. But we kind of just have to go for the piggy play a little and hope that we kill the Sakak. But, you know, I believe in the power of summer magic, and let's see. We do get it, so we are never punished, and we're able to go for the Summer Break Ice area, kill the provided the summer vibes. But that was a fun end of the video. That totally didn't take me fishing like 20 games of mock battles or anything. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time. But for real this time.